Well, hello again. Sunday afternoon, it's the 11th of May 2025. It's actually 20 minutes past 4 in the afternoon. I've been fairly busy this weekend. I didn't think I was going to get time to make a video, but I thought a couple of interesting things had come to light, so I really thought that a video needed to be made. Set the timer. Right. So, Luna's UAP Disclosure hearing on the 16th of May, that's next Friday, has been cancelled. Now, I don't know, just like the skiff, David Grusch had the opportunity to tell them all this classified information that he's been bottling up. He just couldn't wait to tell everybody about it, even though he could tell Arrow about it at any time. But he had, is that the time? Sorry, I can't make it. I've got an important appointment with my proctologist. Or with a bottle of scotch. Oh, it's all true, I'm telling you. David Grusch. So, the skiff was derailed by Grusch not being able to turn up. The round table was beyond a joke. People telling their science fiction stories. Eric Davis, of course, telling everybody that, we're being visited by several species of aliens. He said, I even told David Grusch all about this. Grusch didn't know anything about it until I told him all about it. Yeah, Eric Davis has said he's been told by others, so he's been told by others. He's decided to believe that, and he's repeating what he's heard as truth to David Grusch. And David Grusch has gone, oh, Eric Davis is saying it, it must be true. And of course none of it is, which is why none of them. That's why Grusch ran a mile from the skiff, ran a mile from Arrow. Anyway, the hearing next Friday, everyone's waiting with bated breath for this UAP declassification hearing next Friday. Cancelled. Due to lack of interest. Now, I don't know whether Luna realised that she was being fed a lot of science fiction rubbish at the round table and thought it was completely pointless to have another hearing at Congress about it, or whether she's been told that it's a load of rubbish, it's completely pointless, it's been canned. I don't know. Either way, it's canned, it's not going to happen. I strongly suspect Luna came away from the round table and thought, this is a waste of time, this is just science fiction rubbish, it's going nowhere. I think that's probably what happened, so that's why it's cancelled. Now, the timeline for a UAP Declassification Task Force, Declassification Task Force was 29th of April, skiff with David Grusch, derailed because Grusch couldn't make it. He's getting his nails done. The most important thing, proof of extraterrestrial intelligent life visiting this planet, and he's got something else to do. Then on the 30th of April and the 1st of May, there was the round table, which was beyond a joke. Just a complete and utter waste of time. Luna just sat back and lapped up a lot of science fiction rubbish from Eric Davis. The Nordics and the Greys and all this visiting the planet, He knows because he's been told, just like Gallaudet. Is that someone trimming their hedge, or have they got a model aeroplane over there? So, and of course, 16th of May was going to be the other congressional hearing, the hearing at Congress, the UAP declassification hearing at Congress. Not going to happen. Waste of time. Canned. So, I honestly can't say I'm surprised. I've been looking at the way this has been going. And it's very obvious, I think it's very obvious to anybody with an IQ bigger than their shoe size that there is absolutely nothing whatsoever to this visiting, crashing ET drivel. Grusch chose to believe Eric Davis without seeing a scrap of tangible evidence to support anything Davis was saying. Grusch just lapped it up and repeated it as truth on every social media platform and television channel he could find that would have him. Now he's hiding under the table. Grusch admitted he had no personal experience with ET materials, either technological or biological. He was only repeating what he'd been told. That's David Grusch. What a waste of time that guy is. They all are. Okay. So it looks like the UAP part of Luna's declassification task force is rapidly heading for the waste paper basket. I don't think they're going to bother with it anymore. I think they've had their chance. Done, dusted, new business. Luna's declassification task force is going to concentrate on other stuff that she thinks should be declassified. I think she's come to the conclusion, Burleson has come to the conclusion, there's no evidence for any of these science fiction stories. It's all drivel. It's all been it's all been put in the bin and they've moved on. They won't reschedule it. I'll be very surprised if they reschedule it. So yeah, they've just screwed it up, put it in the bin and moved on. This UAP thing is unravelling across the board, you know. I found out that Gary Nolan, you know, of ET's looking through his bedroom window for weeks on end, standing round his bed every night for weeks on end fame, you know, and then, well, it could have just been a dream, you think. I think he's repeated that since. And of course there was the other occasion when he was an adult and he was about to start his job as a professor at Princeton. Alien appeared in his bedroom, spoke to him telepathically. Didn't tell us what it said, how it could speak English. Maybe that was another dream, eh, Gary? Oh, well, just a dream, just another dream. He must have had, you know, when he said they were there for weeks on end around his bed when he was a kid, he must have had a recurring dream, the same dream every night for weeks. It's Gary Nolan. Anyway, he's bailed out of the UAP Disclosure Fund. Along with Lou Elizondo. Now, I don't know whether Lou Elizondo bailed out or he was asked to leave after he presented the the irrigation circles in fields as a large flying saucer. Bear in mind, he's telling us, you know, he's their top man. He's their top man, their top investigator. And he can't tell the difference between irrigation circles in a field and a reflection of a chandelier on a window, photograph of a reflection of a chandelier, and he's their top man, the top UFO investigator. He can't tell the difference between those and an alien mothership, a huge flying saucer. So it may be that the UAP Disclosure Fund has asked Lou to step down. Now, I don't know that's true. I certainly would, if that was me. I would have said, look, mate, you've got zero credibility. We're not paying you for any more of this nonsense. Have a good life. Next caller, please. Surprisingly enough, Matt Ford, died in the wool fanboy, you know, from the Good Trouble YouTube channel. He's left the UAP Disclosure Fund as well. All these people bailing out. So what's the UFO Disclosure Fund not paying them anymore? So something's going on behind the scenes at the UAP Disclosure Fund. You know, there's trouble in paradise. They're only asking for $1 billion, so the UAP Disclosure Fund, so they could disclose something that's not there to be disclosed. But it will cost you $1 billion to find that out. You know, well, there's nothing there to disclose. You know, we tried. And they all would have bought their nice houses in the hills with the magnificent views, you know, and all this sort of stuff. Oh dear. So the UFO Disclosure Fund. This is a fairly new one on me. You know, I'd only recently heard of this, but I saw another thing from this UFO disclosure outfit. A woman called Anna Brady Estevez, and she was giving a talk, which was basically begging for $1 billion, so that they could look into free energy. You know, research UAP science. UAP doesn't equal ET spacecraft, you know, so what exactly are they going to be researching? Not a scrap of tangible evidence to support anybody having any ET materials on Earth. Not one recovered alien spacecraft. Not a scrap of tangible evidence to support that. What are they going to be researching exactly? She's talking about, you know, having a 20-minute delay, communications delay between Earth and Mars, and being able to overcome that. Yeah. Depends where Mars is, of course. It's not always 20 minutes. But I think she's sort of hinting at quantum entanglement. You know, they can spend some of that $1 billion on quantum entanglement to get instantaneous communication across, you know, across the solar system. So that can't be done either, of course. You know, people are talking about instantaneous interstellar communications using quantum entanglement and that sort of stuff, and it's science fiction rubbish. But it would seem that Ms. Estevez has fallen for all this nonsense, hook, line and sinker. But she gets investment money in for things, and it might be a facilitator or something. She's got no idea about science and technology and all that sort of stuff. She's completely clueless when it comes to that. She's swallowed hook, line and sinker Barber's drivel about summoning alien spacecraft. She says people are summoning them. People can summon these alien spacecraft. Yeah, show me one. Mr. Barber, get one to land at your feet if you're summoning alien spacecraft. Show me an alien. Show me your dog whistle. Your electromechanical dog whistle that never fails to bring in all these alien spacecraft. You know, they're all sitting directly above Jake Barber's crew out in the desert. You know, they're 100 miles or so, 100 kilometres above the planet. They're all just waiting. There's a bit of a traffic jam. They're just waiting there for Barber to fire up his electromechanical dog whistle, and they all go swooping down and then just fly backwards and forwards in the distance. So it only looks like they're little bright dots. Could be anything at all. Could be his mates with drones. Yeah, Ms. Estevez seems to believe in this sort of things. So, she was giving a talk at this Understanding UAP Science National Security and Innovation panel, which is another one of these things that I suspect is set up just to pay people money that's come out of this fund, so it looks like they're doing something with the money. It can't possibly go anywhere because nobody has any ET technology. Nobody has any ET biology. It's all complete and utter rubbish. You know, she made sure that they made sure that the UAP Disclosure Fund, big banner, was behind her as she was talking. So what happened at the UAP Disclosure Fund that was bad enough to get Elizondo either kicked out or bailed out, Nolan bailed out or kicked out, and Matt Ford either kicked out or bailed out? What happened? But this sounds to me an awful lot like TTSA, you know, the TTSA 2.0. You remember the TTSA, Tom DeLonge, you know. Send us your money, we'll build a starship. Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis said they could knock one up over the weekend. You know, they got millions of dollars sent in. No starship was produced. You could knock me down with a feather. Who would have picked that? What happened to the millions of dollars? So, they've obviously hired this woman because she's a good talker. She's good at convincing people to put money in the pot. Where the money is going, I suspect, is the problem. And this may be why those people have bailed out. Maybe they feel there's a lack of integrity there. This is speculation on my part, of course. I've got no idea. But it seems odd, doesn't it, that Gary Nolan, Lou Elizondo and Matt Ford, dyed-in-the-wool fanboy, would all bail out of the UFO Disclosure Fund at the same time. Now, I think, I could be wrong, but I think Ms. Estefez thinks people are actually reverse engineering ET spacecraft here on Earth. So she's really swallowed all this science fiction rubbish, hook, line and sinker. Because nobody is. There is not one alien being poked with a fork anywhere on Earth. You know, no one is looking at his crashed flying saucer, as I've said before. Crashed flying saucer, it's probably going to be a scout craft. It's not going to be this far out. If this was happening at all, you know, there'd be a mothership that would collect it. They would collect their colleagues. They're not going to leave them here to be poked around. They're not going to leave their technology here to be examined by us. You know, and you think these people would be reasonably intelligent. They'd have a bit, you know, they'd be capable of critical thought, but that doesn't appear to be the case. I mean, she's a PhD in something or another, you know. I mean, get a PhD, you've got to be reasonably smart, you know. Even if it's in origami, you know. Anyway, begging for cash for what is inevitably going to turn out to be the TTSA 2.0, you know. They may very well suck in a load of money. Nothing will be produced. You know, no findings will be made with regard reverse engineering or analysing ET biological or technological material. There's none here. And then this UAP Disclosure Fund, as soon as the money stops trickling in, it will just disappear in a puff of smoke. Oh, sorry, you know, we fully intended to get it disclosed. You know, of course, there's nothing to disclose. It's never going to happen. All that's going to happen is this UAP Disclosure Fund will disappear up its own exhaust pipe with all the donations. That's all that's going to happen. TTSA 2.0. Yeah, Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis. We can build you a starship. Yeah, we'll pop down the hardware store, get a couple of buckets, you know. Car shop, get some Recaro seats, you know. Need some electromagnets probably. Big elastic band and a couple of trees. And we'll get you to the nearest star in no time. The crash helmet, of course. Eric Davis and Hal Puthoff. Oh dear. Yeah, TTSA will produce a starship with your money. It was obviously a scam. Nothing happened. No starship, no evidence, no nothing. All it did was burn up people's money. Actually, it was a pretty good magic show because it made a lot of people's donations disappear. Who was their chief accountant? Mandrake? Oh dear. Ms. Estevez doesn't seem to grasp that there's zero tangible evidence to support even one crashing ET story. There's zero tangible evidence to support anyone anywhere having technological or biological samples from visiting crashing extraterrestrials. Science fiction. There is zero evidence of 0-point energy. Free energy, it doesn't exist. You know, it's nothing in nature is free. Researching free energy, you can get money for doing that for the rest of your life. You're never ever going to get to the machine that produces free energy. And as I've said before, if it was possible, which it isn't, Musk will have his team doing this. He would have got a working thing, and he'd be selling them or renting them with maintenance contracts all over the world. You know, he wouldn't be mucking around with battery-powered plastic cars. If there was exotic propulsion, SpaceX wouldn't be using chemical rockets, you know. Musk would be on Mars now. You know, if there was exotic propulsion, he'd have his Mars base now. And apparently people have found a way of manipulating gravity. Yes, well, we're going to have to see evidence of that. If someone's found a way of manipulating gravity, that's Nobel Prize stuff. Why aren't they screaming it on every news channel? Someone's been able to do that and they've been awarded a Nobel Prize. It's because it's bullshit. It's another one of these free energy, anti-gravity. All of this is science fiction rubbish. As I said before, you might get people that will knock up a few theatrical props for people that might donate, especially, you know, high worth people, to go and look at, you know, because they're not scientific people, they're not engineers usually, you know, they'll look at that and they'll see laser beams reflecting all over the place, things spinning around, you know, and they'll go, oh wow, you know, I can see this is going somewhere. And of course it isn't. It's a theatrical prop that looks impressive to get your money. So, you know, no one's demonstrated communicating using quantum entanglement. No one's demonstrated it over 10 kilometres on Earth, you know. I don't think it's even been demonstrated over a foot in a lab, has it? Communicating via quantum entanglement. That's intelligent information going in one end and the same information coming out the other end. That's communicating. So, as far as I know, that has not happened. And again, you know, that's Nobel Prize stuff. It's all science fiction drivel. And most of this comes from our old mates Puthoff and Davis. You know, they're both knocking on a bit now. So if these two drop off the perch, is that going to be the end of all this science fiction nonsense? Or is it going to be perpetuated by people that can see that there's a cash opportunity there? That there's people out there that are gullible enough to put money into this complete and utter drivel. Now, I saw, what was it, the Jamie Moussan aliens. I think I've got a page out, have I? Oh, yeah. So, apparently the Nazca tridactyls, the tridactyl mummies, I was having a look at some images of these things and some x-rays of them and skeletal remains, and what tells me they are not intelligent visiting ETs is they do not have opposing thumbs. Just have 3 fingers. So, you know, they're not going to have the dexterity to build machines, you know. Go through an industrial revolution, go through a technological revolution. They're not going to have the physical dexterity to build the technology that could get them here. So, you know, to build a spacecraft, an interstellar spacecraft, and all the intricate systems that would go on it and everything else, you need physical dexterity. You can't do it with that. Plus, Jamie Moussan, of course, has got a bit of previous, as the police say. for presenting fake aliens. So with a provenance like that, I honestly don't know why people are wasting their time with it. You know, the Nazca tridactyl mummies from Jamie Moussan. Next caller, please. And apparently there's a Colombian alien ball. Now, I don't know whether this is anything like Ross Coulthard's Texas alien ball that seems to have mysteriously disappeared. Weighs exactly 50 pounds. ETs use, of course, terrestrial imperial weights and measures when engineering artefacts. Hey, Ross. Apparently this ball has been found. It's got some jazzy patterns on it that suggest it came from outer space or something. They saw it flying around, and apparently it's cold to the touch, but if you pour water on it, it evaporates, and you can heat it up with a blowtorch to 400 degrees. It doesn't get hot, you can touch it. Of course, we don't see this demonstrated. They say they don't see how the thing's put together, but it's got a band round the middle of it, like a cricket ball. Oh, come on, really? Really? You know, so... And I think, doesn't Jamie Moussan have something to do with the Colombian UFO ball as well? Really, you know, this is complete and utter rubbish. Complete and utter waste of time. So, oh, and of course this ball won't be handed over for analysis. Some scientists in Colombia have x-rayed it, and they say it looks a little strange, but the guy that owns it won't hand it over for analysis. Next caller, please. And the other thing too is, of course, that what made them think it was safe, you know, got this mystery ball, what made them think it was safe to bombard with x-rays? How did they know that it wouldn't just explode in their faces as soon as they hit it with the high-intensity x-rays? Because they don't, because they made it in a shed somewhere. Yeah, what else? We're running out of time here. A couple of minutes left. Another anonymous whistleblower with only 8 months to live. Spruiking more science fiction rubbish with zero provenance, zero tangible evidence. Put a line through this guy. I can't remember his name. Actually, no, he's anonymous, isn't he? Of course, yeah. He's an anonymous. Wow, look at the shadow of the camera. That's because the sun's reasonably low. Yeah, so anonymous whistleblowers, complete waste of time. Any whistleblowers at all should have their stories verified by Arrow before they present it to Congress or anybody else. They're all fake whistleblowers. They all know they're fake. They all know it's rubbish. Just finally, the Russian spacecraft Cosmos 482, the failed Venus probe, has crashed in the Indian Ocean just to the west of Jakarta, according to the Russians. Apparently the European Space Agency say that's not the case. They're not quite sure where it's gone, but I haven't seen anyone on the news in remote parts of Western Australia or the Northern Territory wearing an 8-foot wide crash helmet with CCCP on it. So I'm inclined to think it probably did go in the ocean. Yeah, okay, well I think that's it. So as always, if you've struggled through the video all the way to this point, many thanks for watching. And maybe, if there's more exciting news about fake whistleblowers and people losing interest in the subject and bailing out of organisations, I'll be sure to make another video next week. I'll let you know all about it. Till then, have fun.